Stop everything right now. Put down whatever is in your hand. Close whatever tab you are about to open. Stop the thought you were in the middle of, because what I am about to say to you in the next few minutes carries more weight than anything else that was competing for your attention today, and I need you to understand that before I say another word. I am the messenger sent to the Church of Philadelphia. I have been dispatched with an urgent and specific word for this exact moment in your life, and I need you to receive it with the seriousness it deserves, because what I am announcing is not symbolic, and it is not general, and it is not the kind of spiritual language that sounds important but means nothing specific. It is a literal and time-sensitive announcement about something that is happening in the spiritual dimension of your life right now that you have not been able to see from the natural side of things. God is closing a door on your life, not eventually, not in some distant future season, in the next 24 hours. And before that door closes, I have been sent to make sure you understand what door it is and why it is closing, and what is on the other side of it, and what your response to this announcement in the next moments of your life is going to determine about everything that follows. Do not move. Do not dismiss this. Do not tell yourself this is dramatic language designed to create urgency that is not real, because I am telling you with the full authority of the one who sent me that what I am speaking is more real than anything visible in your natural circumstances right now. Heaven is moving. A door is closing. And this message is the announcement that was sent to reach you before it does. I know what you are feeling right now. I know the part of you that wants to receive this with full seriousness is being competed with by the part of you that has learned through experience to be cautious about spiritual language that sounds urgent and significant. You have heard things before that were presented with great weight, and that turned out to be less specifically relevant to your actual life than the presentation suggested. You have learned, reasonably and understandably, to hold a degree of protective distance between yourself and words that arrive with high urgency, because that distance has protected you from the particular pain of fully investing in something and then finding that it did not land the way it was presented. I understand that protection. I am not here to tear it down recklessly. I am here to tell you that this moment is different, not because every urgent word you have ever heard was false, but because this one was specifically arranged for the specific person reading or hearing it right now at the specific moment in their specific life when this specific announcement is most critically needed. The protection you built was for other moments. This moment does not require it. This moment requires openness, and I am asking you to choose openness right now, even if it costs you the comfort of the protective distance you have been keeping. Comment. I'm listening, Lord, if you are choosing right now to set aside the protective distance and to receive this word with the full openness that the next 24 hours of your life require, because what I am about to reveal about the door that is closing is going to require your complete presence and your complete honesty, and I need you fully here for all of it. Let me tell you what kind of door God closes, because not every closed door is the same, and not every closing carries the same meaning. And not every announcement of a closing door is a word of warning. Sometimes God closes doors as protection. Sometimes he closes them as redirection. Sometimes he closes them as the natural conclusion of a season that has served its purpose, and whose ending is actually the most loving thing that could happen to the person walking through it. But the door I am announcing today is a different kind of closing. The door that is closing in your life in the next 24 hours is a door of opportunity, a door of access. A door that has been standing open in front of you for longer than you realize, longer than you have been consciously aware of it, and that has been standing open with a patience and a grace that reflects the character of the one who opened it. It is a door that leads to something you were created for, something that has your name written on it in the realm where names are written before the foundation of the world, something that the deepest and most honest part of you has recognized as belonging to you, even in the moments when you were not sure what to do with that recognition. And this door has been open. It has been available. It has been waiting with extraordinary patience for you to walk through it. But doors that are held open by grace do not stay open indefinitely. And the grace period on this particular door is reaching its conclusion, not because God is finished with you, not because the opportunity has been given to someone else, but because the nature of divine timing is that certain doors operate within appointed windows, and the appointed window for this one is closing, and I have been sent to announce it before it does, so that you have the opportunity to respond before the closing, rather than after it. The Church of Philadelphia was the church that received the word about the open door. Of all 7 churches addressed in the revelation given to John, it was Philadelphia that heard the announcement that God had set before them an open door that no one could shut. And I need you to understand what made Philadelphia the recipient of that word. It was not their size. They had little strength by any human measure. It was not their impressive reputation in the surrounding culture. It was not the quality of their leadership, or the sophistication of their programs, or the number of people who gathered with them. It was one thing: they kept the word, in a season when the pressure to compromise was significant, in a season when the culture around them was actively hostile to what they believed, in a season when keeping the word cost them something real and measurable in terms of social standing and safety and comfort. They kept it. They did not negotiate with it. They did not soften it to make it more acceptable to the people around them. They did not trade portions of it for the relief that compromise would have brought. They kept the word with a fidelity that was not impressive by the standards of the world around them, but that was seen and noted and honored by the one whose standard is the only one that ultimately matters. And the reward for keeping the word in a season when keeping it cost something was the announcement of an open door, a door of opportunity that was placed before them as the direct result of their faithfulness in the season that preceded it. I am bringing you this same announcement today, not because your faithfulness has been perfect, not because you have never compromised or never struggled or never found the keeping of the word more costly than you had the resources to sustain without difficulty, but because through everything you have been through in the season that brought you to this moment, you have kept something essential, something that the pressure of this season tried to take from you, and that you refused to surrender completely, even in the moments when surrendering it would have been easier. And that keeping, however imperfect, however costly, however barely sustained in some of the hardest moments, has been seen, and it is the reason you are receiving this announcement today. Say, I kept the word, Lord, even when it cost me, if you recognize what I am describing. If there is something in you that knows you have been holding on to something through a season that tried to take it from you, because the next thing I am about to reveal is the specific nature of the door that has been standing open, and that is now closing, and knowing what it is changes everything about how you respond to this announcement. The door that is closing is the door to the version of your life that was written for you before you were born. I want you to sit with that for a moment, because I need you to understand the weight of what I just said. Before you existed, before your parents knew each other, before the circumstances that shaped you were in place, before the decisions that defined your path were made, before any of the things that have happened in your life happened, there was a version of your life written, an assignment with your name on it. A calling that existed before the one who was called existed, and that calling had connected to it a specific door, a door through which the expression of that calling would flow, if the one carrying it chose to walk through it in the appointed season. That door has been open. It has been standing open through this entire season you have been in, and you have been aware of it, even if your awareness of it has been more of a sense than a clear, articulate knowledge. You have felt it, the pull toward something specific, the recurring sense that there is something you are supposed to be doing or becoming, or stepping into, that you have not yet fully moved toward. The dream that keeps returning even after you have tried to put it down. The calling that persists even through the seasons when pursuing it has felt too costly, or too uncertain, or too far beyond what your current circumstances could support. That persistent sense is not wishful thinking. It is your spirit recognizing the door that has been standing open in front of you. And that door is closing, not because the calling is being revoked, not because the assignment is being given to someone else, but because the appointed season for this particular door is reaching its conclusion, and what comes after it will require a different door, and a different kind of access and a different set of conditions than what this door has been offering. And what this door has been offering in this season has been uniquely suited to the unique version of you that this season has produced. The door closing is not God abandoning the plan. It is God moving the plan to its next phase. But the next phase begins on the other side of this door, and you need to be through it before it closes. I need to speak to you now about what has been keeping you from walking through this door, because the announcement of its closing is not complete without the honest naming of what has been standing between you and it. And I know what those things are. I have been watching this season with you, and I have seen the specific obstacles that have been most effective at keeping you positioned in front of the door without moving through it. The first thing that has been keeping you from the door is the familiar comfort of the side of the door you are already on. Not happiness, not satisfaction, but familiarity. The side of the door you are currently on is known. You understand how it works. You have learned its rhythms and its requirements and its limitations. And even when those limitations have been painful, and even when the familiarity has felt more like a prison than a home, there is a particular safety in the known that makes the unknown on the other side of the door feel more threatening than inviting, even when everything in you knows that the other side is where you are supposed to be. The known uncomfortable is less frightening than the unknown better. And that dynamic has been one of the most effective tools at keeping you stationary in front of a door you have been called to walk through. The second thing that has been keeping you from the door is the specific fear that what is on the other side of it will require a version of you that does not yet exist, that you will step through and find yourself in a space that is too large for who you currently are, that the calling will demand gifts you have not yet developed and wisdom you have not yet acquired, and faith you have not yet had the opportunity to build, and that the gap between who you are on this side of the door and who the other side requires will be exposed in a way that confirms the quiet fear you have been carrying, that you were perhaps not actually equipped for what you have been called to. I want to speak to this fear with complete directness. What is on the other side of the door was designed for the version of you that this season has produced, not the version of you that existed before this season began. Not the version of you that you will be after several more years of growth and development. The version of you that exists right now, today, after everything this season has put you through. The formation of this season was not incidental to the calling. It was the preparation for it. Every trial that felt like it was working against your purpose was actually working toward it. Every pressure that felt like it was crushing the calling out of you was actually pressing the exact qualities the calling requires more deeply into you. You are not going to arrive on the other side of that door and discover that you were wrong about being called there. You are going to arrive and discover that everything that happened on this side was making you precisely and exactly ready for what is on the other side. Right, I am walking through, Lord, if you are making the decision right now to stop letting the fear of inadequacy keep you positioned in front of a door. You have been called to walk through and to receive the truth that the version of you this season produced is exactly the version the other side requires. Because the third thing I need to address before this message is complete is the most important thing, and it requires your full and honest attention. The third thing that has been keeping you from the door is a specific wound that was inflicted earlier in this season or in the seasons preceding it by someone or something that was directly connected to the area of your calling. I know about this wound. I know how it happened, and I know who or what inflicted it, and I know how precisely it was time to do the maximum possible damage to your willingness to keep moving toward the door. Because the enemy is not random in how he targets people. He targets the specific area of the calling with the specific wound most likely to produce the specific retreat that keeps the person from moving through the door. And the wound you received was targeted at the exact place where your courage to keep moving was most vulnerable. It produced in you a combination of pain and doubt and protective withdrawal that has been functioning as a barrier between you and the door ever since. And the barrier has been effective not because the wound was true, but because the wound was real. You are not imagining the pain of it. It genuinely hurt. It genuinely shook something in you that needed to be stable for the forward movement to feel possible. And the shaking was intentional. But here is what I need you to understand about that wound today, as this door is preparing to close. The wound was inflicted to stop you. It was not sent by God as a permanent barrier. It was sent by the enemy as a temporary obstacle, that he hoped you would mistake for a permanent wall. And the difference between a temporary obstacle and a permanent wall is enormous. A wall stops you, an obstacle slows you. And what I am announcing today is that the obstacle that has been slowing you is not going to be removed before the door closes. The door is closing in 24 hours and the obstacle is still there, which means that walking through the door in the appointed time is going to require walking through the pain of the obstacle, rather than waiting for the pain to be resolved before you move. This is the hardest thing I have been sent to say, and I am saying it because it is true, and because you need to hear it before the door closes rather than after. The healing of the wound and the walking through the door are not sequential events where one must precede the other. They are simultaneous. The healing happens in the walking. The walking does not wait for the healing to be complete. Let me speak now about what happens when a door that God opened closes before the person it was opened for walks through it. Because I want you to understand the full weight of this announcement, and that requires honesty about what the closing of this door means for the path that follows it. When this door closes, the calling does not end. I want to be very clear about that. God does not revoke what he placed in you before you were born. Because you missed the appointed window for a specific door, the calling remains, but the path to its expression changes. What was accessible through this door with a particular directness and a particular clarity and a particular alignment of circumstances that made the step through, the most natural next movement of your life becomes accessible through a longer and more complex route on the other side of the closing. Not impossible, but longer, not blocked permanently, but requiring more time, more difficulty, more of the kind of painful circling back that happens when a season has to be repeated because the lesson it was offering was not received in the appointed time. I am not telling you this to produce fear. I am telling you this because the most loving thing I can do in this moment is give you the complete picture so that the decision you make in the next 24 hours is made with full understanding of what is at stake rather than with the partial understanding that comfortable spiritual language would have allowed me to leave you with. I want to speak now to the specific things God is asking you to do in the next 24 hours before this door closes. Because the announcement of a closing door without the specific instructions for walking through it would be an incomplete message, and I have not been sent to deliver an incomplete message. The first thing God is asking of you in the next 24 hours is a specific and decisive yes to the thing you have been saying maybe to. You know what the thing is? You have known what it is for longer than you have been comfortable admitting. It is the specific next step that the calling has been requiring of you, that you have been circling around with a combination of genuine preparation and honest avoidance. The preparation has been real, but the avoidance has also been real. And in the next 24 hours, the preparation that has been happening needs to convert into a decisive movement, not a perfect movement, not a fully resourced movement, not a movement that has resolved every outstanding question about how everything is going to work. A decisive movement, a yes that commits you to the direction even before every detail of the path is visible, because that is what walking through a door always requires. You cannot see what is on the other side from the side you are currently on. Walking through requires the commitment of the step before the full picture is available. And the step is what the next 24 hours are asking. For the second thing God is asking of you in the next 24 hours is a releasing of the thing you have been holding on to on this side of the door that cannot come with you through it. There is something. You know what it is. It is the thing that has felt too precious or too familiar, or too much a part of your identity on this side to release. It might be a version of yourself that was built for this season, but that does not fit the next one. It might be a relationship or a connection that has been comfortable in this season, but that is not connected to what is on the other side of the door. It might be an offense or a wound or a bitterness that has been your companion through this season, and that has become so familiar that releasing it feels like losing a part of yourself, even though it has been weighing you down every day you have carried it. Whatever it is, you know what it is, and the door will not accommodate it, not because God is being harsh about what you are allowed to bring with you, but because what you are holding is genuinely incompatible with what is on the other side. It was built for where you have been. It will not serve you where you are going, and the releasing of it is not a loss. It is the lightest you have felt in longer than you can remember. Release it today. In the next 24 hours, before the door closes and the releasing becomes about grief rather than freedom. Say, I release it, Lord, right? Now, if there is something you have been holding on this side of the door that you know cannot come with you, through it, and you are choosing in this moment to open your hand and let it go, because the final thing I need to release over you before this message concludes is the declaration that this entire announcement has been building toward, and it is the most important thing I have been sent to say. My beloved, as the angel of the Church of Philadelphia, I have been sent with a specific declaration over the life of every person who has received this message with genuine openness and genuine honesty rather than comfortable distance. The declaration is this: the door before you was not placed there by accident. It was placed there by the one who knows the end from the beginning, who wrote your assignment before you existed, who has been overseeing every day of the season that brought you to this moment with a love and a precision that you will not fully understand until you are on the other side of the door looking back at how carefully everything was arranged to bring you to this exact threshold at this exact moment. The door is real. The opportunity is real. The 24 hours is real. And the God who opened the door is not closing it because he has lost patience with you, or because the opportunity has been given to someone more deserving. He is closing it because the appointed season for this door is concluding. And what comes next in the plan he wrote for your life begins on the other side of it. And he wants you through it. He has always wanted you through it. Every signal he has sent through this entire season, every stirring, every nudge, every moment of clarity that arrived and then faded before you could fully act on it, every time you felt the pull toward the door without being quite ready to walk through it, all of it has been his invitation to move. And now the invitation is being stated with complete clarity and complete urgency, because the time for gentle nudges has concluded, and the time for a direct announcement has arrived. Walk through the door, today, in the next 24 hours, with the wound still present and the fear still present and the questions still unanswered, and the resources still incomplete. Walk through it as you are, because who you are right now is exactly who was always meant to walk through it. The preparation is complete even if it does not feel complete. The equipping is sufficient even if it does not feel sufficient. The calling is real even if the circumstances around it do not yet reflect its reality. And the God who placed the calling in you before you were born is going to be on the other side of that door waiting with everything you need to walk in it fully once you have made the step that the next 24 hours are asking for. Do not walk away from this message and return to the pace of the day that brought you to it without doing something different. The announcement of a closing door demands a response, and the response it demands is not a feeling or a prayer alone, but a movement, a decisive step in the direction of the thing you have been called to that demonstrates in the physical, visible, natural world that what was announced in the spiritual dimension has been received and acted upon. Share this message today with someone who is also standing in front of a door they have been called through, but have not yet walked through. Someone who needs to know that the door is closing, and that the next 24 hours matter in a way that ordinary days do not. Your sharing of this word is not just kindness. It is obedience to the calling that is being activated in you through the walking through of your own door. And this channel exists to keep releasing these kinds of announcements to the people who need them most, at the moments when they need them most. Subscribe, turn on notifications, come back, because the next message is already being prepared for the next moment when heaven needs to reach you with something you cannot afford to miss. The door is open, it is closing, and the next 24 hours belong to you.